Good evening. Welcome to the John Gaunt podcast, coming live from the heart of Coventry. Are you going to join in? Starmer is the one who should be apologising today, not Sir Jim Ratcliffe. What a stinking hypocrite Starmer is. I want your views, and I want them now. So if you've got something to say, let's hear from you. We'll start with Simon. He says, no apology required for the truth. Just go now, Starmer. Nobody believes anything you say. And what a nerve, considering the week you have had. Thank you for that. The next one. That was me. No, Simon says. No, that was Simon then. This one is, they threatened Ratcliffe. No apology, no new football ground. So he chose his words carefully. However, he's lost a bit of self-respect in the process. There was no need for an apology. I thought it was a brilliant apology because he didn't apologise at all. It was very clever. We'll talk more about that as the show progresses. But tonight, we're talking about the story that is gripping the nation. Starmer, the hypocrite, is now giving out moral lessons and is getting very upset about one word. I wish he'd get upset about the industrial rape of white girls by the flip-flop warriors. I wish he'd get upset about things that will really matter. One word he's upset about. The guy is a jerk. So tonight, I'm asking you a very simple question. Why is it always the British public who are expected to apologise, but never the politicians? Why hasn't he apologised about all his U-turns? Why hasn't he apologised about ripping off pensioners? Why hasn't he apologised about sending our boys to war in the Ukraine? He's a stinking, walking, talking hypocrite with no background. So is today Starmer demanding an apology from Jim Ratcliffe. But as I say, he hasn't apologised for his U-turns, his broken promises, or the total failure of the whole political class, Labour and Conservatives, around the issue of illegal migration or even legal migration. None of us asked for this amount of people to come into the country. I believe in well-controlled, managed migration, but we've never been consulted, even going back to the Blair years. And remember, Mandelson wanted to rub our nose in diversity. And if we dare to say anything about it, they start immediately. They look for the one word to trip you up. And then they shout, wasteth, wasteth, wasteth. And they call out the police service and the stormtroopers to lock you up. Let's be straight. Sir Jim Ratcliffe just said what millions of people in the United Kingdom are already thinking. And because of that, Westminster and their chums in the mainstream media hate him. This is the show they don't want you watching. No filters, no apologies, no pulling punches. Let's get into it. If you've got a view, I want to hear from you. This is the John Gaunt Show, all over the internet, on YouTube. Don't forget to join John Gaunt TV on YouTube, by the way. You can have your say. Simple as that. Write up your comment in the comment box and I'll be with you as soon as I can. But let's remind ourselves of what Jim Ratcliffe actually said. I knew there'd be trouble and I knew it'd be this particular word. It's a complete and utter joke. He said the UK has been colonised by immigrants. Have you been down Spark Hill recently in Birmingham? Down the Fosal Road in Coventry? Have you been down Brick Lane in London? Those parts is true what Jim said. Because in this interview with Sky News, Britain's seventh richest man, Jim Ratcliffe, who, as you know, owns Manchester United, and he does live in Monaco. He moved there in 2020. Look at the way this is written. I got this just straight off the BBC internet. He took aim at people receiving state support and immigrants. He says, and this is the exact quote, and this is what's got him into trouble, you can't afford You can't have an economy with 9 million people on benefits and huge levels of immigrants coming in, he said. The UK is being colonised by immigrants, really, isn't it? I mean, the population of the UK was 58 million in 2020. Now it's 70 million. That's 12 million people. Right, number one, he got his numbers wrong there, but the actual end number he's correct on. And you only have to look with your own eyes. It's unsustainable. We can't keep letting everybody in, whether they're legal or illegal. And the British people don't want it because they've never been consulted. That doesn't make them racist. And I don't think Jim Ratcliffe's comments are racist either. And this idea, I've had loads of people today on Twitter. I've had a massive response. On Twitter, people are saying, you're a racist. You're a gammon. He lives tax-free. He's a migrant himself. Yeah, but I really don't want to upset you, you stupid uber-liberal twats. But when he moved to Monaco, I doubt whether he went in a dinghy, and I doubt whether he had his hand out for a handout. He went there because he didn't want to pay as much tax as he was having to pay in Britain. I don't blame him, because he saw his tax money, which he's earned. Don't forget, he started off with nothing. He didn't just suddenly become the 7th richest man. He doesn't want his taxes spent in the way they're spending them. So he moved away. What's wrong with that? And all these morons are going, oh, he's a tax dodger. He's not a tax dodger. He's decided to live in Monaco. And how much money do you think his companies make? How much money do his companies put into ordinary workers' pockets in this country? And sorry to upset you, you uber-liberal thick morons, how much tax do his employees pay? He should be applauded, not attacked. Now then, on to the controversial word, which is colonised. I can understand to an extent why people might get upset. But for God's sake, when young girls are being raped left, right and centre, women getting attacked with a screwdriver 21 times in the head in Warsaw by an Afghan illegal immigrant, you're telling me that that's something to worry about, one word? And isn't it funny? Starmer, he can never say sorry. All the things he's done, which I quoted at the beginning of the show, and he's never once said sorry. He's the most arrogant, supercilious PM that we've ever had. And that's reflected in the polls. People hate him. He's got the worst figures ever. Why are we listening to people like Starmer? Why is Jim listening to him? Because Jim has apologised. I'll read that out for you in a moment. But he's kind of taken the mickey in his apology, and I don't blame him. We should be encouraging people like Jim Ratcliffe to invest in this country, not put them off. Not put them off. So let's have a look at the apology that he issued this afternoon, which I think is really funny. Where is it? He says, I'm sorry that his choice of language, that if my choice of language, this is the quote bit, choice of language has offended some people in the UK and Europe. But he added, quote again, it's important to raise the issue of controlled and well-managed immigration and maintain an open debate. So he's apologised if somebody's got upset by the word colonial or colonised, but he's taking the piss, isn't he? And I don't blame him. If the choice of language has offended some people in the UK and Europe, but of course that's brought attention to what he wants to talk about. He says it's important to raise the issue of controlled and well-managed immigration and maintain an open debate. I agree with him 100%. Do you? And then when you look at migration and immigration, we've never been consulted and people have had enough. And I don't think people have become racist overnight. I just think they've got fed up of stuff. Things like go to Birmingham, parts of Birmingham, the road signs are in different languages as well as English. Why? Look at the money we waste on translators. Why? What about the fact that it's an absolute statistic? 1 million people in this country don't understand English, let alone write it, read it, or speak it. They reckon there could be up to 4 million people. How have we allowed this to happen? And he wasn't talking about legal immigrants, really. He was mostly talking about the flip-flop illegals. He's saying you've got to get on top of that. You've got to control it. And he actually said Keir Starmer's maybe too nice to do that. And then he gave a plug for Nigel Farage. And then I got to reflect, didn't Starmer do a speech about this island of strangers? Which later he said, oh, I hadn't read that before I said it, and I don't believe that anymore. What? What? Now, Jim got his figures wrong. He did. Only by the year that he quoted. But just picking on that, it's just nonsense. The facts are there's too many people in the country. The facts are we never voted for this. The facts are many of those people, especially the illegal ones who come that route, don't work. Never work. Won't work. How can we afford that? And of course, he's the 7th richest man. He's saying, I don't want us to pay tax on that. And I don't blame him. What about you? And when's Keir Starmer going to apologise for doing what he's doing now? Despite the week he's had. Rachel Thieves, our so-called Chancellor, trained at the Diane Abbott School of Accountancy, of course, she today has been talking about how we can get back in the EU. I'm sorry, we voted out. We didn't vote for you lot to ignore us, and that's where this all centres. Keir Starmer ignores us. Keir Starmer's government ignores us. But it's nothing new. The Tories were just as bad for 14 years. A plague on all their houses. And then today, another top civil servant has quit. His name is Chris Warmold. He's walked out. He's walked out. There's nobody with any experience in number 10 now. It's all going to come crashing down. And that will be amusing to see Starmer having to sell the big issue. But, what's he going to do to our country in the meantime? And then let's add in to the mix the fact that Donald Trump's legal action is back in the news. And is going to cost every single one of us thousands and thousands of pounds because the BBC, part of the Starmer culture, shall we call it, deliberately misled the British public in that Panorama report and thought it was okay because they don't like Trump. It's going to cost, I don't know whether it'll end up costing 10 billion or whatever they say it is, but already the BBC have announced massive cuts. The BBC have been completely fucked over by their own arrogance and bias. But I put them in the same class as Starmer and this lousy government. And indeed the previous Tory governments, Rishi Sunak, Boris, don't forget the Boris wave, he let 1 million people into the country. When are they ever going to put us first? The people who have paid our taxes and we're here, we're living, we're trying to make it go for it. What about us? What about us, Keir Starmer? And the truth is, he hates you. He hates you. He hates me. He hates anybody who's actually British and been here for any length of time. This whole argument isn't about racism. Our country isn't racist now. And where there are pockets of racism, let's root it out. I don't want to stand next to somebody at the football who's a filthy racist. But what Starmer's done by demanding an apology, He's framed this. Do you see what he's done? He's twisted it to make it look like it's a discussion about racism and that white British people are racist, even multi-billionaires like Jim Ratcliffe. And, of course, it's all very convenient because we're talking about this and not talking about the way his government is collapsing, the way he is pedo central, it looks. People are already on the doorstep calling Labour the pedo donors party. Are you proud of yourself? You see, because it isn't just one, it's not just Mandelson, it's this other guy that we were talking about the other day. What is it with Starmer? What is it with Labour? Labour used to be the party of the working class. They've abandoned working class people with all their cultural Marxism or rainbow laces for the police, attacks on the freedom of speech. Because again, this attack on Jim, it's an attack on freedom of speech. If he thinks that, he's allowed to say it, isn't he? And then I see all the performing seals today, all the lefty twits saying, you're a big fat gammon, Gaunty. Why are you supporting a multimillionaire? He's fucked over Man U. And then saying things like, he can't even run a football club. Missing the whole point about his speech. When he had this interview with Ed Conway, he was basically saying, football's a bit like running the country. I've had to make some very unpopular decisions, and he has. Some of them haven't worked out. But then he said, you begin to see the rewards of your work. And he's doing that, isn't he? Because Man U are flying again. They are. Why attack him? For one word, one hurty word. And then they try to twist it. I've had people today saying, what about all the immigrants who played for Man U? He wasn't talking about them. He's talking about illegals. People who don't want, you know the old cliche of, you wouldn't have a health service if it wasn't for immigrants. Well, it's only half true. The immigrants who came in the 50s and 60s, undoubtedly, we wouldn't have had a health service without them. But the subsequent people who have been coming or arriving at Dover, are they all doctors, scientists, rocket scientists, car designers? No. Are they all rapists? No. Are some of them? Yes. Do we need to know who they are? Of course we do. You can't have all these undocumented men of fighting age in the country. Right, I'm exhausted. If that doesn't get you going, I don't know what will. Please feel free to say whatever you want. Try and keep it clean and legal. And if you wish to donate something, it's www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. Or alternatively, click the $ next to the comments and donate whatever you can afford. We've got to keep these going. We're the home of free speech. Because again, I think I'm pretty good at what I do. Certainly, I was listening to some of the radio today, or some of the talk stuff on telly. Rubbish. Anyway, here we go. Let's get going. Steve Palmer, he's a regular. Hello, Steve. Evening all. Ratcliffe pressured into an apology of sorts. At least it was only an apology for language rather than content. Yeah, I should imagine he got pressure from Man U because it's a huge corporation, isn't it? But I don't think he should have apologised at all. I really don't. I don't think he said anything wrong. I just don't think he did. Never apologise for telling the truth, says Denise Deacon. That's like me, Denise. When I got the boot from TalkSport, they kept saying, John, just say sorry. If you just say sorry, we can all move on. We'll suspend you for a week and then you can come back. No. Because I thought that was putting children at risk. But anyway, I don't need to blow my trumpet. I'm a man of principle, or principles, which is not a high street shop, although that's probably gone bankrupt. Well done, Sir Jim. Saying what we all think, says Nigel Gordon. Jake Morton Brown says, evening, Gaunty. Evening, Jake. What do you want to say, though? That's what's important. Jim Ratcliffe is the third highest taxpayer in the country. Surely he's got a right to an opinion. Well, Ken Jones, of course he has. But Ken, even if he wasn't paying tax, even if he was unemployed, even if he was, I don't know, whatever, I don't care. He has a right to free speech. We all do, surely. Because if that goes, this country is well and truly, you know what. Saved himself 4 billion tax by changing to Monaco. Hang on. Anyone else would do it if they could, says Steve Palmer. Steve, you bang on the money. You bang on the money. There was so much jealousy on X/Twitter today. I mean, obviously, there was anybody who hates Man U, and that's most of us. There was that kind of jealousy. But then this other jealousy of, well, he lives in Monaco. Well, so does Lewis Hamilton. And then some guy tweeted in from Japan, and he said, it's wrong. Blah, blah, blah. He lives in Monaco. He's deserted us or something. So I put a tweet up to him saying, a reply, well, you live in Japan. I've just looked at your tweet line. Oh, yeah, I live with my girlfriend. Well, so then I said, are you British if you now live in Japan? Yeah, of course I am. Doesn't add up. He's still British, but he lives in Japan, which, by the way, I agree, he is. But so's Jim, even though he lives in Monaco. The politics of envy is one of the worst forms of politics. Anybody agree or disagree? Rob Bishop, thank you so much for your words. Jim Ratcliffe is absolutely right. Starmer knows this, but he doesn't care. We desperately need reform. Rob, I've got to agree with you on that level. But I do want your views on Starmer. How come Starmer's got so upset? I bet he couldn't sleep last night. Oh, it's dreadful. Did you hear what Jim Ratcliffe said? What he said about people, the colonial. Oh, dear me. Oh, Prime Minister, another girl's just been raped. A 12-year-old girl's just been raped, Prime Minister. Yeah, in a minute. I'm talking about these filthy words of Jim Ratcliffe. What is it with Labour and paedophilia as well? They seem to love the friends of nonces. I find it incredible. Hi, John. Hope you and your family are well. Jim Ratcliffe was only saying what we're all thinking. I agree, Craig. It's just jealous folk that hate the fact they haven't done as well as Jim in their lives and have been able to emigrate as a personal choice. Exactly. I said to people today, well, are people who now live in Spain, are they still British? Oh, yeah. It's just nonsense. You can't have it both ways. You can't. John, I speak as a second-generation Italian, having grown up in the 60s and 70s, says Lena Tail. I hate what's happening, not only in the UK, but in the whole of Western Europe. It's all gone to shit, and we all know why. Yes, we do. But you try saying it, and you'll be up on a charge. John Gaunt commented and shared. Thank you, says Rob. Thank you. Yeah, if you want to do that for me, if you're enjoying the show tonight, please send the link on. Retweet it, whatever you have to do, whichever one you're on, YouTube or whatever. Don't forget as well, the best way to follow me is to join John Gaunt TV. You just go to John Gaunt TV on YouTube. A little pop-up comes up saying, do you want to subscribe? Don't worry, it's free. Say yes. Then you'll always know when I'm doing a podcast or a video. If you want to donate some money to keep these going, feel free as well. Just click on that $sign. Who's going to be the first one tonight to do it and donate as much or as little as you want? Or alternatively, go to www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. Simple as that. I did have something else I wanted to talk to you. Oh, I want to talk to you about Trump as well and the BBC. See, they've displayed the same arrogance. If they had apologised right at the beginning, we wouldn't all now be having to pay their legal costs or Trump's legal costs. Dan the Lion says his apologies are well-worded, backhander at those who were crying about his words. Yeah. Starmer's spokesman said, we accept Sir Jim's apology. Oh, that's big of you. You lick spittles. He hasn't apologised. He's apologised for one word. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is a hero in capitals, says Tony Whitworth. He didn't have to speak out and state the obvious, but he did. Thank you. Jim Ratcliffe should not apologise. He's absolutely right. We cannot sustain these numbers. Yeah, it's not just that. It's the fact that they think if by saying that somehow we're a lower form of life, we're racist, we're scum, we're far right. Not at all. Not at all. We just want to protect the people who are already here. And it's not far right to say, I've had enough of flip-flop warriors. I know it's not all of them. I've had enough of them raping our children. The 12-year-old girl in Nuneaton has really hit me hard. My dad, I've never lived in Nuneaton, but my dad lived there. It's awful. It's shocking. And what about the fact that Keir Starmer can get upset on behalf of people who might have been part of our colonies or whatever, but hasn't got in touch with the lady whose daughter was stabbed, what's her name, Lena White, stabbed 21 times on a train station in Warsaw. Hasn't been in touch with the girls who've been raped. Well, that's because ever since he went to Southport and a lady shouted out, "Wanker!" he ran away. Dan the Lionheart says many places in the UK look like streets in India or whatever. They do in places. You're right. Can't argue with that. That's a fact. You can't not see what you see, can you? Starmer isn't really sorry for appointing Mandelson. It hurt him to have to say it, though. A couple of hurty words of which are true, and Starmer jumps in head first. He's finished very, very soon. He is, yeah. He won't survive now. He won't survive. But people kept saying to me last week, careful what you wish for, Gaunty, because who's coming next? And I was poo-pooing it, saying, it doesn't matter, we've just got to get rid of him. But now I am beginning to worry. I heard Lammy on the telly just before I started. He's got less of a clue than Keir. Patriot Dell says, what happened to free speech? Well said, Sir Jim. I agree. We have free speech. You should. And this idea that even in the way that Starmer said, it was offensive or whatever, well, no one's got a right to not take offence. The whole idea of freedom of speech, I mean, out and out filth, understandably so. But the idea that Starmer can decide what you can and cannot say, imagine what a world that would be like. Terry Whitworth says, John's on fire tonight. It's brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. I'm enjoying it myself. We need a few more people like Jim to speak out. The trouble is with the backlash he's faced, so they won't. That's true. Now, he can afford to, no doubt, and we'll do it again. But you're right. It's called the chilling effect. And that's what Starmer uses all the time. Suggests that it's racist. Suggests that it's misogynistic. That's the latest. Although, yesterday in the Commons, the women in there, in the Labour Party, are saying it's a boys' club in the Labour cabinet. They accused Starmer, effectively, of being a misogynist. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. Lena, Jim Ratcliffe speaks for most of us. Thank you very much indeed. Unfortunately, if you voted to have an MP speak on your behalf, and unfortunately you don't get to see what they're ever going to say, so therefore no vote is the solution, then you can have power. No, I disagree with you. The idea of not voting at all is nonsense, but thanks for your opinion, and it's free speech. Keir Starmer's governing mentality is a corporation. I think that's a fair point, Michelle. Michelle Claire Richards on FaceTime. Thank you very much indeed for that. Oh, by the way, we're getting a power shower put in. I was telling you. Anyway, moving on. I'll talk about it more maybe tomorrow. He's an ignorant prime minister, says Jacqueline Olsen. He's an ignorant prime minister who totally ignores the British people. Correct. Can't argue with that. Thank you very much indeed. Let's go again. We've had nearly half an hour now, and we've not had one donation. Is it no good? Is it no good? Would you rather be listening to, I don't know, The Better Music Mix. Is that still on? Come on, help me out. Hi, John. The libtard meltdown is just pure deflection from the problem. Screaming wasteth doesn't work anymore. The ivory towers of the establishment are gradually crumbling into dust, says Niven Kaysen. I like your imagery. I like your language. Thank you for it. White DNA will be exterminated. That's Starmer's agenda. Rest assured, the DNA war is here, says Steve Wilson, 2509. I'm not sure about that, but it's your opinion. Let's move on. Oh, my God, John, I had no idea the road signs in Birmingham were in different languages. Yeah, it's the same when you go to Brick Lane. What on earth's going on? It's a drip feed of bowing down to a minority. Well, actually, majority in some of those areas. This is the UK and we speak English. If you don't speak our language, then learn it if you want to live here. Another example of our government kowtowing to immigrants. Thank you for your point. I think we should help people learn English because the only people who get most disadvantaged by not learning it are the people who can't speak it, if you follow what I mean. So we should be encouraging it. And the idea that in certain communities, many of the women never leave the house effectively, that can't be right. It can't be right. It's not good for them. It's not good for society. It's not good for anyone. Anyway, let's carry on. Lee Massey, really despair, John. It's gone horribly wrong for the honest people of our once great and proud country. You're right. When they had people, they had John Barnes on today talking about it, saying, would Man United players be upset because, if they come from immigrant backgrounds? Well, why should they be? I don't understand why they should be. They probably feel exactly the same about it. I wish Starmer could use these skills that he's got in Downing Street to divert and twist the narrative for the good of us all, but he doesn't. He must have, the moment Jim said what he said in that interview on Sky last night, he must have, oh, thank God for that. We can use that and get the pressure off me. People will forget that I gave Mandelson, friend of the nonce, the greatest nonce ever, a job. Oh, and this other guy, whose mate was a paedophile, but I made him a knob in the House of Lords. It'll just blow over. The only thing I get out of this is that surely at night, as you go up those stairs, those stairs that Hugh Grant and what's that girl out of EastEnders dance down, yeah? In Notting Hill or whatever, whichever one. I get all those films mixed up. Does he look in the mirror and then look at all the famous prime ministers before him and think, God, I must see you next Tuesday? I wonder if he does. I wonder if he does. And I wonder when he goes to bed, does he toss and turn all night worried about what we're going to say about him the next day? What a way to live your life. David KT, this isn't about who he is. It's about what he said as the truth today, going against the state delusional diversity bullshit that's just around you. You can see when we have children stabbed in our schools by the absolute scum of the earth who they're bringing in. I fear the greatest crime today is telling the truth. I think you're right. I think you're probably right. Oh, sorry. Yuri. Hi, John. Just need to be careful. Sir Jim just needed to be careful with the Man U fans, as there is a lot of diversity in the fan base, which is great. He did the right thing to apologise, though he didn't need to. Good man. Now, see, Graham, you're a typical lefty mixing this up. It doesn't matter whether the fan base is diverse. That's irrelevant. The core of what he was saying, is it true or not? Well, you seem to suggest it's true. So why can't he say it? Why can't he say it? And the idea that just because you've got a black skin or an Asian skin and you go to Man U, therefore you've got to be quite well off. You've got to have money in your pocket, haven't you? that you would get upset by this. Well, that's pathetic, isn't it? That's like thinking anybody with brown skin, they eat curry all the time. It's kind of a bit of a racist assumption. But the left do this all the time. It's just nonsense. It's just nonsense. I think he should just speak his mind. That's my opinion. Anyway, where are we going next? Pamela Millett. I'm not racist. There's many foreign people who've supported, helped and befriended me in my past. But immigrants are taking the wee-wee out of us at the present, and it's wrong. Well, yeah, but it's not all immigrants, is it, Pam? It's not all of them. But because Starmer and successive prime ministers and governments haven't got on top of this, they're the ones who create the division. Because that's where they get this "you're white, far right" idea from. That's what they want. They want us to hate the migrants. I don't hate them. On one level, in a perverse way, I kind of can't quite respect them if they've come halfway across Africa, then up through Europe to get here. You've got to admire their resilience. But the simple facts are we can't have them all here. We can't. It's unsustainable. That's my argument. It's a numbers argument. I don't know. Mr. Scotty Darling. Hey, John, went to the doctor's today. Told him I had 59 seconds to die. And he said, could I wait a minute? Oh, the old ones are the best ones. Stop recognising Michelle Claire Richards. I'll leave it up so people can read it and see if they can make any sense of it. But what a load of garbage. Where are we? Please explain to me, John, why have the FA clowns now got involved? Oh, they've got involved because they're into diversity. Well, kind of diversity. They're into Black Lives Matter, aren't they? It turned out to be a bunch of gangsters, effectively, and crooks. But they had every Premier League footballer taking the knee. Yeah, they're saying they're going to turn around probably and say Jim Ratcliffe is not a fit and proper person to own a football club. But who's going to buy Man U at the moment? It's all performative nonsense. It's all just nonsense. That's what I hate about all this. Starmer's an absolute woke joke. And why can we not all what we see? Why can he not see what we see? As for the apology, he didn't need to give it, says Tracy Allen. Thank you. Dan the Lionheart, I don't want to be rude, but you just keep writing loads of stuff, and I'm not going to read any more out because it's not fair. You've had your say. Just listen to other people's views. You might learn something. Pam, I've just received my yearly TV licence, £174.50. I'm a pensioner, only on a government pension. TV is my only entertainment. Why should I have to pay for the BBC's incompetent film about Donald Trump? Well, I think a lot of pensioners like you, and maybe something we'll return to as a different subject, maybe next week. Because it's people like you who are going to have to pay for it, Pam. It's outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. Steve Palmer, that's an interesting point. How come Starmer has his own legislation for a pension? You're right. It's something we'll come to another day. It's not something I want to get dragged into today. Ken Jones, if I was a billionaire, I'd piss off to another country, somewhere who might appreciate me. All this government wants to do is steal your money. I can't argue with you. Den Spinks said Starmer did mention a land of strangers. It's true, John. It's the only honest thing he ever said. Yeah, I couldn't believe that when he said that. I thought there's something gone wrong here. The Prime Minister's brain's missing, that spitting image. But then afterwards, a few weeks later, he said, I don't actually agree with that anymore. I shouldn't have said all that. I hadn't read the speech in advance. You're giving speeches to the nation, and you haven't considered whether you agree with what your little pimpledy, spotty, acne-faced ex-Cambridge or Oxford University little twerp has written for you. It kind of sums you up, Starmer. See, Starmer can't actually just do it off the cuff, can he? Like the other day when he was getting tough. It's all nonsense. He's just not a leader. He'll be gone soon. He will be gone soon. He's the worst prime minister we've ever had. and probably, in my opinion, the most evil. Do you agree with Adam Brooks on about Tony Blair? I do, 100%. Adam Brooks. He's the guy who owns the pub, isn't he? He's on GB News sometimes. I tend not to get my political opinions from him, but good luck to him if that's what he thinks. Where are we going next? BBC Apologise? When does the left ever do that? That's a good point. I've stopped taking offence at being called far right, says Leanna Teal. Thank you. Richard Pope says, I've done 40 minutes, by the way. I'm finishing in a minute. Den Spinks, trying to stay on the discussion. I don't mean to plug Channel 4, but there's a documentary on tonight about the illegals coming over on the boats. Well, thank you for telling me that. I shall have a look at that. What we got next? Niven Casey again. He says, don't forget the meltdown Suella Braverman caused about her invasion comment when she saw the migrants coming in on the boats. Yeah. There's certain words, if you say it, that they're almost as bad as saying the C word or the N word. Yeah. Invasion is one of them. Swarms. You're not allowed to say they're swarming here. Yeah. And that goes so far because even to Chat GPT and like that YouTube, you put the word rape in a title, they manually review whether it's acceptable or not. It's odd. It's odd. The Liberals are in control. Know Thyself too has become a YouTube member. Thank you very much indeed. If you want to become a member, I think it's $1.99 and $2.99 if you want to become a super fan. You can have a look at that and maybe do it if you fancy. He doesn't have a conscience, John. He has to be a test tube sample. Talking about Starmer, I presume. Ken Jones says he only offended the people who hates the British. So well said, Jim. Thank you. Now, Henry Ives, he's been saying quite a lot of stuff on Twitter today. He says, Jim Ratcliffe is only saying what most of the population see and feel. We need a government who will face up to this harsh reality and start to put its citizens first. I think I agree with you, my friend. I think I agree with you. I've just seen the latest Tommy Robinson video on YouTube. It's absolutely outrageous about what's happened to a toddler in a migrant's hotel. John, I urge you to watch. I'll have a look at it later. Thank you very much indeed. BBC licence fee, if it loses the lawsuit, will become a monthly fee. Probably. Alistair Campbell, come out, wherever you are. Yeah, where's he hiding? There's a few people we've not seen recently. We haven't seen much of Tony Blair, have we? Alistair Campbell. I don't know why. I don't. Okay, that's me finished. Hope you enjoyed it. I thought it was a good show. I thought we had some good things to talk about. I thought we might get a few more on Trump and the BBC, but we can always do that another night. Thank you if you contributed, which is only one person so far, but feel free. You can always do it later. www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. Jackie Ward's just done the 3 red hearts. So that means I can finish officially. Lisa's out, so you're okay. If you haven't contributed, you won't drop me in it too much. But it's joking aside, bloody depressing, isn't it, living in Britain at the moment? And it's depressing and predictable at the same time. As soon as I read what he'd said last night, I thought, uh-oh. Well, I thought 2 things. One, that's tomorrow night's show sorted. And then I also thought, well, but how depressing to have to talk about this again. It's just one man's opinion, one man's views. It's not, I don't know. But we're living in weird times. All right, look after yourselves. If you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, don't forget to tell them you love them. I'll speak to you tomorrow. No, what day's tomorrow? Friday, is it? Or Thursday? Today's Thursday, isn't it? So I might do one earlier, but it won't be at 6. All right, until then, give those kids a kiss, give them a hug, and don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya.